So there's two ways to enter, two different ways to approach the inventors competition. The first is that you're going to build an actual invention and you're going to see if the prototype works. And it's going to be a presentation of something that you thought of that would make the world a better place. The second idea is that your invention is too big and time is too limited for you to be able to build the invention. So instead, you're going to make a non-working model of your invention idea so that you can put it with the presentation display when you complete your idea. So it can be either a working invention or a non-working prototype model. So here's how to plan and how to actually get the most out of your invention. First, you want to use your head to come up with an answer to an everyday problem. And then you want to write that down. And then you have to ask yourself some questions. What problems or drawbacks made you want to invent this project? What is the closest existing technology to this product? So say you are improving on another idea, or there are different ideas that are out there that you're building on. You want to make sure that you are disclosing that information. How does your invention improve on this current existing technology? Who would buy your invention? Why would people buy the invention? And what materials would be used to create the actual invention? You want to be able to formulate these answers before you start to build the invention, because you're going to use these later when you're putting together your presentation. And the best inventions are going to start by figuring out the answers to these 7 questions first, and then you're going to use the answers to these questions on your display board. Write them down, save them, and prepare to use them again. Step 2, build your prototype or your model. This is the fun part. So this is the time when you put your idea to the test and create a 3-dimensional working prototype or a non-working model of what your invention would be. If it is a working prototype, test it out to see if it works. Even if your invention doesn't work, you can still use it as an entry. Be creative and be thorough with your invention and your prototype and model. You're going to have this as part of your display and presentation as well. So you're going to be required to label each part of the prototype or model, and you're going to describe what the function is of that particular piece of your model. And if your invention works, you'll want to be able to describe any tweaks that you needed to do to make the invention work. And if your invention does not work, you will want to describe ideas for new models to try again. Once you've answered all of the questions, and then once you have created your invention, you now want to be able to create a display that describes what you've done. When you build this, you're going to want to have a traditional science project board, and it shouldn't exceed the standard size of 48 inches wide and 32 inches tall. And then this particular diagram shows you exactly what and where to put everything. You want to arrange the information so that it's easy to read and it flows in a logical order. This is a format that should be followed, but the size of the actual information that you're putting there may vary. Don't be afraid to use graphics and pictures and charts and things that make your display more interesting. In the left panel, top left, you're going to describe why the project is important. Underneath that, you're going to describe what other technology already exists to help with the issue. Then you're going to describe why the project is different from already existing technology. And then underneath that, you want to talk about how your invention would change the world that we live in. That is the left side. Then we move to the center. The top middle should be the title of what your invention is. Underneath that, you should explain and illustrate how your invention works. You should have some kind of graphic chart or something other than text underneath your title to make it more interesting. Then middle left, you want to explain your model or prototype as it works and as you experiment. And then bottom right, you want to define the pieces of the invention or prototype. That means you want to describe what each piece does. And then your prototype will be included in front of the display board. So you want to make sure that you're specific. That is the middle section. So then we move to the right section. On the right, you're going to explain who would buy this invention as if you were explaining it on Shark Tank. Underneath that, you're going to say why your buyer is your buyer. You're going to give an estimated cost of how much it costs to make, and then you're going to make an estimated cost of how much it sells for. Underneath that, you're going to write what the actual materials would be to use to create the real invention and what the cost of those materials would be. And then in the bottom right, you're going to put who you are so that we know who to give the credit to. And that is the right-hand side. Here's how the inventors competition is being judged. First, there's 120 points available for your display board. Each element of the display board is worth 10 points for a total of 120 points, and that's for the 12 elements that have to go onto the display board itself. Each element, so each little section is worth 10 points based on the following criteria. Your judges are going to be judging you from 1 to 10 based on, is your message clear and properly researched? Is the message neat, creative, and appealing? Is the message thorough? And does the message involve creative thinking and critical thinking? And based on how much depth you have on that on each individual element, you can earn 10 points for your display board. The next piece, we're talking about the model itself. Now, the model in the invention is worth 180 points. We're going to break that down into 4 different sections for the judges to look at. First question they're going to answer is the model or prototype thorough, and that is worth 45 points. And then it goes into, is the model or prototype appropriately labeled? That is 45 points. Does the model or prototype model depth of work and critical thinking? That's worth 45 points. And does the model or prototype involve real world thought? In other words, does it have logic versus being completely make-believe? And that's also worth 45 points. So if you're looking for something that's run on unicorn juice, you're not going to score as high as something that might be solar powered. The prototype does not have to be pretty if it was used to create it to try to create an actual invention. If it's just a model, the expectation is that it would be pretty because you're not trying to come up with a utilitarian piece. We understand that sometimes inventions are not pretty, but if you're just building a model, it absolutely should be. Thank you guys so much. Good luck and happy inventing.